Hello. Sorry. I've been chilling with goth girls and e-girls lately. That's right. I went out to Ybor again. Um, and I woke up today thinking about camels. I'm thinking about camels for a reason, specifically because I believe they're Aquarian. Um, I think the big giveaway is that they have humps and we have calves. And your calves are like your water supply because they're ruled by Aquarius. If you know medical astrology or just correspondence in general. But also scientifically, they do a lot of work um, to pump the blood upwards into your chest from your legs. And for that reason, scientists tend to call it the second heart, which you can't overstate. And Aquarians will be the first ones to tell you to always come with your own supply. My ex-dealer turned friend lives by that. If he goes anywhere, he goes with his backpack. He has his equipment. Excuse me. You know, everything he needs is in there. And they know how to take care of themselves. They go where they go where they're wanted and leave when they're done. And they always tend to have the stuff that you want. And a camel's the same way. You're thirsting out there in the desert, and the camel's just watching you. And that's how I felt yesterday. So, I drove out an hour to meet up with a friend. I saw the chart ahead of time. I saw that the moon was conjuncting my moon and sextiling my Saturn. And that's good. Believe it or not, and I haven't talked much about this, Saturn, but Saturn operates as a maternal figure. And you only have to think about the ring. And you can think about places that symbolize sanctuary. Of course, the moon goes without saying, and I believe I've talked about it. So I knew that I'd be supplied with what I wanted, taken care of, given access to things because the ring isn't blocking me out in a sextile, it's allowing me ground, so to speak. And with the moon, you're seen, you're taken care of, your needs are met. So I knew for all of that it would be good energy, especially come nighttime, because those are night planets for the most part. But with the moon being in Aries, it was squaring the Jupiter in Cancer. Jupiter means excess. It means intemperance. If you know the Temperance card in tarot, or if you know tarot, you'll see me using card names interchangeably with the astrology. No temperance. Definitely not good for long-term travel or long-distance travel. and all around just not really having the focus, so just exactly what it was. And what it usually is when I chill with my friend is that I go out really far, use a lot of gas, and the payoff is always weak. You know, he says, "Oh, I'll give you $50 for this, and I'll give you gas." Then it turns into I'll give you $40, and I can't give you gas till a few days later. That's the type of Jupiter stuff. On top of just not having a fixed place to go, because I pick him up an hour away. Then we go to the beach, but it's a tourist beach, and we have to pay parking and valet. And then we find another beach, but the GPS is whack, you know. And this can be pinpointed to Mercury in retrograde and its detriment in Pisces. But it's also the Jupiter, because you're just not supposed to try long distance, you know, events, if you want to call it that, you know. But I don't know, I looked at the weight of the positive aspects and it made sense to me. Um, and yeah, it was pretty good come nighttime when we decided to go back to Ybor to the club. Uh, the whole atmosphere was good. It was good. It was clean. It was clear. The roads weren't dirty and crowded and filthy. The crowd wasn't rowdy. It felt more respectable, way more respectable, and way more open and clean. So it was a good night to be there, especially because the party vibe still was there. There were a lot of cool looking people. That's all it takes to make me happy, you know. Um, on top of just fitting in. So we went to the club in that atmosphere. The music was great. The DJs were great. They had about 3 DJs. One outside, one inside on the floor, one on the second floor. The second floor was nuts, which it's always nuts. You hear people yelling at the top of their lungs. I don't know if you know this, but that's probably, I would say, like 9 times out of 10, a fucking Molly addict. Because they'll just lose their inhibition. And like screaming at the top of their lungs just feels like gargling mouthwash in the morning for us. And it's insane. I said to my friend, "Doesn't that creep you out?" And I made a joke out of it. I was like, one of those girls, because it was the women screaming, like one of those chicks are just going to go nuts behind me and like come up behind me and snap my neck. And he like, he put on a serious face and I was like, I can scare him. So don't fuck with me. No, I'm just kidding. But, so that was funny. We chilled on the outside in the first floor mostly. I think he called it the basement. And that was tight. As soon as we walked in, how could I not feel like a gangster when they're playing Mission of Burma's That's When I Reach for My Revolver? Never in my life have I gone somewhere and heard that. It was the Moby cover, but the Moby cover was hitting. I don't know if it was the bass or the people. It's those things that you definitely, as an esotericist, you know that it's coming from the cosmic radiation, you know, rather than anything else. But the vibe, just to reiterate, that the vibe was tight and the women were beautiful and they were sitting next to us, I was too scared to say anything to them. And even my buddy was like, nowadays it's just different, you know. I try to make moves and they kind of just look at you funny. So you have to wait for them. So don't think I'm a fucking, I don't remember what the word is, bro. That shit's so underneath my radar. But, you know, don't think I'm not out here making moves. Because I did. We went outside after we were chilling for a bit to take a smoke break. We walked down, I think it was some type of community campus. They had a piano out. I'm sitting down tapping away at it. Tapping. Because most of the keys are like half, I don't know, like a quarter of the keys are out. And I'm tapping away. And this teeny bopper comes up to us with her friend. She says, "Do you know how to play?" We both said no. And then she started, you know, he pulled her in and he started talking to her. And I was alright with that. The moment that she said that, "Oh, we just came from that club and it sucked," I turned off. And I noticed, oh, she's a kid and she's talking out her ass. And I laughed when my friend said, "Oh, what clubs do you like then?" I said out loud, I was like, "Why are you asking her? She doesn't even we're from here. She's only here for college." Coincidentally. And she had an X on her hand, so she must not have been older than 20. So he kept talking to her because he's younger than me, so I don't know. He's in that same boat. But when I hear them talk, it's like wah 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 wah. Like, all right, can we get out of here? Especially because she trashed the music, so like she doesn't know her knee from her elbow. Um, so we did that, and he was happy. I was like, I didn't do nothing, dude. I was just tapping away. But he said, you see, your piano, your music, your skill got us a girl, because he took her Snapchat, and her friend looked like Miss Piggy. So I laughed when they left and we left, and he said to me, "You should have got her friend's number." I was like, dude. I said to him, "Let me put it this way. I'm happy for you." And we went back inside. So we went back inside and danced and stuff, and like it was just really cool. Um, there's something Aquarian about dancing where like if you just lock in, you feel like you're a puzzle. Like your dancing lines up with the energy of like everybody else. So I saw the Saturn in that, the Aquarian. But then like I don't know, 30 minutes later, we went back. We were gonna go upstairs, and I said, "Hey, let's go smoke real quick." So we went back out to the piano. My friend ditched me for 15 minutes. At that point, you know, 5 minutes is like, okay, he's just taking a long leak and he's talking to somebody. 10 minutes, it's like, dude, are you okay? Or did the cops get you? 15 minutes, I just have to turn on my phone because I have it off because it's low battery. And there's all this bullshit. Now there's all these obstacles popping up, so I'm getting turned off. I want to kick his ass, really, and chew him out, but people get mad at me when I do that. So I just text him, and he says, "Okay, I'm coming back." This motherfucker went back into the club. And I don't know how you can forget that your friend is not there with you. So I think it's justified to be upset. But I didn't act upset. I didn't show it. I was just ready to go back inside. Now, the esoteric factor here, if you really care, is I'll fill you in. He's a Gemini. I got Mercury in Gemini. So when I see that we've been pretty much up each other's asses all day, having fun, we went to the beach, we played music, both of us are going to get a little tired of being buddy buddy. So I saw it as, symbolically, like conjoined twins splitting. Um, and I saw that, I take that back into my data bank, and my higher self tells me that it's, for whatever reason, just pushing me away, pushing me out of the place. So the next thing happens, we're walking back into the club. We go through the wrong door, apparently. The doorman put us through, but the ticket master is a lady, and she stopped us. My friend's drunk as shit, so he's just walking forward, not really caring. So we get split again. The lady's telling me, dead ass looking at the band on my hand, on my wrist, and asking me, knowing that she gave me this shit an hour and a half ago, asked me straight up, straight face. She says, "Did you pay to get in?" And at that moment, I knew I was dealing with a fucking moron. So she told me to walk back out and go around and use the other door. This is the part where I hate being in other people's worlds, because it just feels so kiddish. Like, you're gonna throw me out of this fucking place that's full of half butt ass naked women and men, uh, drugs, and God knows what else. And you're gonna make me do, okay, stand in single file type bullshit. Get some cooler fucking security. Get some cooler front people, because that shit is whack. As soon as that happened, I got turned off. I was already off from my friend being weird. Then I was off from that. And I just took it as a message. This is when I turned Aquarian. Anyway, I went around I went through the other door. And the ticket master there was a black woman. She stops me, bro. She's ready to hassle me. I didn't have any time to think about it. And this was a Jupiter moment, because it was fucking funny. I had a Stroysky bottle in my front pocket in my flannel. If you don't know what that is, that's a Russian gas station wine. And it's just a tiny bottle. I don't drink. I stash my weed in it. She saw the tip sticking out, so she pulled it out. She said, "What is this?" And then she pulled it out and she looked at it. And I was looking at it. I was shocked. And that's how I know it was a Jupiter moment. And she looked at it and then she laughed. And she said, it's weed. And she gave it back to me. And I laughed. So confused. I go upstairs to try to find my friend. I text him, "Hey, I'm up here." No, nothing back. So I already know that's about to be strike 2.5 of this whole weird splitting apart thing. So I'm up there. I'm getting more turned off, because now I'm seeing. It was bad enough when we first got there. We saw one butt naked ass dude in like some BDSM gear. And that was gay as fuck. Now this stupid ass friend that I'm with chooses to dance right behind him and his group. And I had to pull him back. And I had to say, "Dude, that's a dude." And I don't know if he cared or not. And that also turned me off. But that was when we first got there. At this point, I'm seeing that dude, and I'm seeing some old ass fucking Mr. Hands looking dude with a baseball cap, old, bald, green shirt, hunched over, tall, but hunched over. And this nigga's not wearing any clothes from the waist down. Nothing. Not pants, not shorts, not underwear. Nothing. He's just fucking naked. Like that. And people are taking pictures with him. That was just a that was just a, that was like the salad to the meal of my fucking pain and anguish. Because on top of this, I'm still pissed off. I'm not having a good time. I can't dance. And my chest is starting to hurt from what I can only imagine is the anger of being treated like this by everybody. My friend is ditching me. His friends just happen to show up, which makes things worse because for some reason he tells me that his friend's girlfriend doesn't like me. And this guy's younger than me, so I'm thinking, do I have to slow myself down for this? I don't want to see your friends. All this is just making me angry. So I turn Aquarian. I go outside. I text my friend. I say, man, I'm walking to my car. You need to tell your friends to get you to my car. So you can get your stuff and go with them. And I'm walking to my car, which is 15 minutes away. So he finally texts back. Ooh, surprise. And as people always do. And he says, where are you? And I tell him I'm up the other way, across the opposite of the piano. Last thing I want to see. And I meet up with him, and I see him coming towards me. And we talk, and I tell him all about it. I say, dude, I'm done. Stop telling me that it's not a big deal. I know on paper it's not a big deal. But tell that to my fucking heart. Because I'm ready for blood. I want to punch that lady in the face. I want to kick you in the face. I want to talk to their managers. I want their managers to give me $10 million fucking dollars and a pat on the back and a share in your company. Whatever. Just bullshit. At some point I was just having fun with mouthing off. But I told him to his face, I said, all I know, I don't know what I want to do. I just know that I want your stuff out of my car. And we stood around for like 15 more minutes, and he finally said, all right. And he went back inside. I told him, go back inside, chill with your friends, finesse them, and tell them that you need a ride home. And that's, he said, what do I tell them? I said, tell them the truth. Your friend's pissed off. And he's going to leave you. And I wasn't going to leave him. And I didn't. I went back to my car, which is my station, my base of operation. And I had everything I needed. I had a seat I could sit down in, recline. I had music, I had a charger. And I had myself. And I just laid down and I thought to myself about everything, What should I be mad about? Should I be mad at all? How can I forgive them? What angle can I look at to get rid of my anger? And that's what I did for about an hour and a half. And they finally came. He was drunk as shit. got his stuff, and left. And that was good. Because at the end of the night, what he said to me at the beginning of the day, which was, "Oh, I'll give you $50 and gas," turned into, "Oh, I'll give you $40 and I can't give you gas until Monday." You know, always getting the short end of the stick. Only because I guess, I don't know. I mean, even speaking up, even voicing my stuff, I always feel like I'm wrong to get upset. So I never have a good judgment of like where the line should be. But thankfully, people sometimes tell me, they're like, "You deserve more than you're getting." So I don't know. I have to feel it out. But anyway, that's how I feel like a camel. Uh, Mostly when I just stood up for myself, I stopped thirsting. My buddy wanted me to thirst. He wanted me to keep. First of all, he wanted me to uh, keep at his side so we could get more chicks. And he was thirsting after that teeny bopper, which was lame. And he wanted me to thirst after the club. How do I and maybe how do I do that? How do I do that after like all of that? You know, this is me thinking to myself. And that's what Mercury does too. You guys don't know it and you'll disagree with me because, you know, there's so much dispute between schools. But there's Hindu schools that correspond Mercury to the sacral chakra. Now, it's easy to dispute that because one of the symbols of the sacral chakra is the moon. But you can mend that when you think about Kabbalah and the fact that a moon deity, like Tot, Hermes Trismegistus, can also be a Mercury deity. You know, they're syncretic. And you can see the more that you study astrology or occultism, really, that Mercury and the moon share similarities. You know, the moon is a weaving goddess. Well, what does it take to weave? The same type of energy that's in Mercury's caduceus. You know, so you see, you have to look at it in another dimension. But so anyway, yeah, I see myself as the camel because I chose not to give in to that Gemini behavior, really, but that sacral behavior, that thirsting behavior, that mercurial stuff. And I said, you know, it's not worth it. You could take my $15, you can take my entry, and I'm gonna just sit by myself and enjoy my company. Just like my Aquarian friend would bring his backpack and enjoy his own piece of his home wherever he goes. You know, or whatever. But so that's that for me. You know, I learned a good lesson because I'd never done that before. I used to be like him. I used to just like, you know, I would try to go back and force myself to have a good time. I'm not doing that anymore. There's no reason to.